Well, as the air quality in the capital dips to the hazardous category, the Delhi Environment Minister, Mr. Gopal Rai, urged the central government to conduct an emergency meeting to tackle the issue. Writing to the Union Government Minister, Bhupendra Yadav, Mr. Rai suggested the measure of artificial rain as a last resort to combat the poisonous state of pollution in the capital city. But we ask, number one, if fake rain was easy to do, why don't we use it in drought-affected areas? Number two, if fake rains are possible, why not save the lives of our farmers? Number three, since the spike is happening 3 weeks after Diwali, can we close the chapter on crackers being the reason? Number four, can no politician see the farms on fire? And number five, are we now capable of controlling the weather? That's the big question that we will discuss with our guest. Joining us on the show is Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Chairman of Nephron Clinic, Kavita Ashok, environmentalist, also with us on the program. Indra Shekhar Singh, agriculture policy analyst, joins us on the program as well. Last but by no means the least, Mr. Sudhir Krishna, former Secretary, Urban Development, Chairman Committee on Standards for Smart Cities, also joins us on the program. All right, Dr. Bagai, I'll begin with you. Let's fly in some planes who are going to in fact sprinkle water on Delhi, and voila, our problem is going to be solved. Why didn't you and I think of this earlier? And what do you have to say to what Mr. Gopal Rai has just said? Is it feasible? And if it was feasible, why wasn't it exercised on drought-affected areas? Why wasn't it exercised when, jungles are on fire? In fact, they do that when jungles are on fire. Is this basically now becoming a distracting game for all these politicians, blaming one another and in fact pulling in ideas which in fact are impossible to pull through when the solution is so easy, Dr. Bagai?
Yeah, I think there's an old saying that there is a system even in madness. But I think this is crossing all boundaries of being absurd. So let me explain why. Almost 70-80% of the pollution which we are seeing this year is Delhi generated. The roads are in a mess, road dust hasn't been attended to. The traffic is in a mess, public transport has not been attended to. The construction norms are in a mess, that has not been attended to. The waste management in Delhi, even the residential areas, good residential areas of South Delhi like Vasant Vihar has opened allows which emit 2.5 pm and all the methane and toxic gases. The in-house control should have been better. I don't think these people have thought through this systematically. So let's come to this absolutely bizarre idea of an artificial rain. An artificial rain has been tried in certain countries, but it has largely been unsuccessful. So let me tell you why. The cost of this use is approximately 1 lakh rupees per square kilometer. You will be spending crores of rupees as a one-off exercise, which is going to be futile. Point number two is they use chemical compounds like silver iodine or potassium iodine. These are chemicals to cause condensation and oxidation of the moisture in the clouds to precipitate rain. This damages the ecosystem. This has an effect even on human beings, on animal stock, water content on earth, and indeed the constructions and the buildings. After all, its chemicals is going to be precipitated down. Last, most importantly, is it is transient. Now, when you use it in a very small area, Delhi is extremely large. When you use it in a very small area, there are certain international studies which have shown PM 2.5 and PM 10 and ozone and other nitric gases to decrease from 40 to 70%. That's established, that's fine. But the question is, in such a large area of Delhi, to have such a humongous cost only as a superficial band-aid where the gangrene is lying deep down inside, you've not attended to the genesis of the problem and now you're doing superficial betadine. I don't think this is going to work. I think they should have got the act together months back. We know that this is an ongoing problem. This is not going to be successful. That's my submission.
It's not going to be successful. And obviously, Kavita Ashok, I could have picked a debate from a couple of years ago and pasted it today. Nobody would have been able to tell the difference whether we are talking about what happened 2 years ago or whether we are discussing, the environment in Delhi and North India at this point in time, are we that helpless when it comes to air pollution that the capital city, where the most powerful reside, where in fact the entire country is run from, is not able to control, which is something purely man-made?
Thank you, Vineet. I feel that because this has been going on for the good last 10, 50, 15 years, because Delhi was never like this. I've been living here for so many years. So I certainly see a lack of political will. There's a dearth of political will between the center and the state. There is lack of coordination, and a lot of mudslinging is going on from the last decade. So I just feel that the poor Delhiites and people are in and around Delhi are suffering just because of some kind of a argumentative, very debate-oriented malfunctioning of the.
Who do you blame for this? Who do you blame for this?
Lack of coordination. Yeah, I feel lack of coordination is the main thing here. Because see, you are saying man-made. I agree, it's man-made. So if it's man-made, then it can be man-solved. Then we are capable enough to even solve it. If we are able to create a problem, we should be able to solve it. Secondly, I feel that it's high time somebody stop blaming just the vehicular pollution or the Diwali crackers, because Diwali is long gone and we are suffocating today at 999 at Anand Vihar. I was there yesterday, also day before, with all the data. I mean, what kind of a life are we Delhiites living? We love the city, we are taxpayers, we have invested our votes in the government, and look at the result. People can't breathe here, schools are shut, economy is suffering. All this is very repetitive, very recurrent, sadly so. And I just feel that I just don't know how to address this anymore, because for the last 10 years or 15 years, we've all been sitting on these debates, and it's only catching up more and more. It's becoming more a topic of conversation rather than people sitting down, the politicians sitting down and sorting it out between themselves. So more than other factors, I think it's got to do more with, I must say, ego hassles going on, or something that, people can't sit together and solve it.
Right. And Mr. Sudhir Krishna, I think that one thing is very, very evident here, that it's the politician who's the wrong person to be expected to solve this. They've had ample opportunity, they've had ample support from us, but the fact of the matter is that what is the common man supposed to do in this instance? And Dr. Bagai is here. This is not something which can be slipped under the carpet. This is actually contributing to loss of lives. This is also contributing to our health or our lifespan being shortened by not just a few months, but by a few years. It's stunting growth in children. It is, of course, creating problems with the economy as well, which of course has a ripple effect throughout the nation.
Well, I think the solution is in our hand. It is not an impossible thing, and what is in our hand should be tried more seriously than trying for artificial rain, etc., which is not really successful anywhere in the world, except for some experiments are going on. Let this go on, no harm in that. But the thing is to make it as a resolution for what we ought to do, and a substitute for what we ought to be doing is not good. For instance, public transportation system, while Delhi Metro is doing a great job, they are expanding the network, and we see 7 million people traveling every day. But what about Delhi Transport Corporation? The buses are not as many. A few thousand buses only we have here, about 5,000 I suppose. And this is not enough. Number two, we should have more green in the city. The Delhi is quite green, but in patches here and there. And the kind of trees we are having are not, supporting the environment. So we should have thick foliage trees, which are like, the avenues. The olden time, the Delhi had very thick avenue trees. Now we are having, very sparsely thickening trees. So avenue plantation has to be better. Water bodies are also, a big source of reducing the pollution, because long-term solutions are required. So water bodies are missing one by one. More fountains, more water bodies, The drains has to be cleared. Then water should flow properly, and the solid waste here and there, solid waste. The green, whatever green we have, the leaves are being burnt here and there. So the proper management of waste is very important. Construction activities. It is a problem of Delhi one side, but whole India is suffering. Even Mumbai people are complaining of pollution now. Mumbai was not complaining of air pollution earlier. Now they are also suffering. and other cities also. Tier 2, Tier 3 cities are also complaining. So construction activities are unbridled, there is no care for pollution and so on and so forth. So lot of activities on in our hand that we can do. What is required is rather than asking, and government of India cannot do much now. I should say that because they have to only lay down the guidelines and they have to provide funds. There are funds available aplenty under numerous missions and programs, and this action has to be taken by state government and the local authority, that is the municipalities. So what is required is the municipal bodies and the state government concerned should sit together and find out whether the roads are pothole free, whether greening can be improved, whether water bodies can be enhanced, public transportation can be improved, construction activities regulated, and things like that. That is the ultimate solution. I think it is very much in our hand and we must try it.
All right. Indrashekhar Singh, do you think that it's wrong for politicians to bicker and blame each other? Now, of course, the Aam Aadmi Party also saying that the Parali burning is not only limited to what's happening in Punjab, but Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, and other states are also contributing, if not as much, but more to the Parali problem in North India. This perhaps needs a national relook. This perhaps needs a reform that can only be discussed in the parliament, because millions and millions, perhaps hundreds of millions of lives are at stake here.
Vineet, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. Now, I'm going to answer your question, but also I'm going to address some of the earlier questions you asked. First of all, the problem lies with the policymaker. There is no doubt. You said, what is the difference between now and all these debates happening 2 years? The only difference is that maybe upwards of 200,000-300,000 crores has already been spent by various government agencies, various other factors on trying to clean the air and trying to clean the water. But the water is not clean, the air is not clean. In fact, everything is now more messier. So all that money is drained in corruption. It's gone down the drain, and Delhiites and other people are suffering. The other question you raised, which was a very important one, was on weather modification. So today, China possesses enough technology to change the weather of a landmass as big as India. And India is still very primitive when it comes to weather modification technology. We have seen that how when Dubai wanted to cloud seed itself, it resulted into a big chaos and a big disaster. So when places like Dubai and other nations have already failed in cloud seeding, why is the minister being so wise and not learning when others are burnt by the fire? I think it's completely uncalled for to actually again try and conquer nature and not work with her. So this suggestion is absolutely wrong, unecological, and needs super research. And when a minister says this, this has impact on the regular population. Other people, young people are listening to them and then accepting these false solutions. Now, another topic which is very, very important is, why can't we have green walls where farmers are paid for agroforestry, so that as the smoke is coming towards Delhi, there are these green patches and these green walls which are surrounding Delhi, which absorb maximum carbon. Of course, the farm fires are a problem, but the major problem, as was very clearly indicated by Dr. Bagai, was Delhi generated itself. The vehicular pollution, the industries, the construction activities, the dust. The Delhi is creating its own problems. It's the soup of our own indulgences. So we have to be very clear on what we do inside the capital. Now, the other problem is, why aren't we paying farmers for ecosystem services? We think farmers are only doing agriculture. No, farmers are linked with nature. They work with the land, and if they take care of the land, the air, and the water, everything can get better. And in fact, they can improve the air quality, because the urban areas are only emitting carbon. They're only emitting these toxic fumes. Whereas in nature, there is a possibility of capturing this carbon. Today, there are green carbon policies which the Indian government has started. Why can't we actually put more power to them and encourage farmers using financial incentives? I think the government is not thinking, the government does not want to solve the problem. We have already known how the government took false solutions by taking the super seeder, which has failed completely in Punjab. We have failed to convert farmers from paddy into other crops. We have failed to stop stubble burning, and this is a problem which has been going on for 1 decade. In this 1 decade, how many thousands of children have suffered from asthma? How many pregnant mothers have deformed or have children who've not got the best chance of living a full life? We have statistics which say that about 7 lakh crores is lost because of air pollution alone. Why can't we spend 300 crores and give it to the farmers so that every farmer has at least 2,500 rupees per acre to kill the stubble problem where it starts? We can do that very easily in 200-300 crores, but nobody is thinking like that. No one is thinking for ecology. No one is thinking because the problem is profiting so many people. Because the problem is giving money to the friends of the politicians. And I'm not for any party. I'm not standing for any state government. I'm standing for citizens. The government is first giving false solutions, not allowing the money to reach the real solutions, and then not even encouraging citizens to take this matter in their own hands. So it's a whole mafia show circus where people's lives are not valued. We've been told that you can go ahead and die, and we have our air purifiers to save us. Let's talk about this other issue. What about the sale of air purifiers in the capital? There's this whole new industry that's now emerging, which is selling air purifiers to people. It's growing every year. Why can't we have trees instead of air purifiers? So once again, this is another aspect where the problem is profiting so many areas of industry that it's better to have the problem than have real ecological solutions.
Dr. Bagai, how much of a role does crony capitalism have to play in this?
So, Vineet, just to take off from where Mr. Singh left, imagine residential good areas of South Delhi, the place where I stay, in Vasant Vihar. Hundreds of trees have been chopped 2 years back. The matter is in court, so it's sub judice. I'm not going to take it forward in detail. But the people who are responsible in destroying a green cover and environment should be taken to task. They people who have been identified as guilty must be put in jail. This green cover and the environment and climate control is everyone's inheritance. Point number 2, you can't have a waste management system in residential areas which is collapsed. The government, local government should attend to this. Allow me just 1 or 2 minutes, Vineet, because this is extremely important from a medical orientation point of view. Do I have your permission?
Sure, sir, please.
Yeah. So when you have these waste dumps which are lying on the streets, when you have these dhalaus which are open, the bio-waste degrades because of the greenhouse effect and the heat. All the material which is degraded, it leaches into the soil and water. Soil is where our plantations grow, is where our fruits and vegetables grow. We are ingesting that. Water table is where this percolates down to, including lead, plastic, nanoplastic, microplastic. It's not only PM 2.5, it's the most glorified, celebrated, hallowed pollutant. It is toxic gases, carbon monoxide, methane, SOx, NOx, benzene, volatile organic compounds, hydrofluorocarbons. These are highly carcinogenic, heavy metals, free radicals, biohazard, aerophile particles. What does it do in the body? We are losing 2 million Indians every year because directly impacted by air pollution. We need 15 minutes of exposure to an AQI level of 999. In Vasant Vihar C block 2 nights back, it has reached 1700. These levels are non-compatible with life. People will die. 15 minutes of exposure continuously gives you breathlessness and respiratory distress. A one-day exposure sets in inflammation in your heart, arteries, and your other body organs. 2 to 5 days of exposure to this precipitates heart attacks, strokes, and sudden cardiac arrest. Every body organ is affected by air pollution, and we have open dumps lying right next to our main gates. Is this fair? Are we paying taxes for this? The local associations in residential areas are deeply involved in this mess. Put these guys in jail. That's all. It's as simple as that. Set name and shame. Set an example once, and these people will not cross the line ever again. It damages the heart, the lungs. You have cancers increasing, unborn fetuses, pregnancies are involved. Small children are born with congenital structural abnormalities. What worse are we giving to our next generation than this? Obesity, insulin-resistant diabetes, genetic defects, pneumonias, throat infections, bronchial asthma, bronchitis, chronic obstructive lung disease. It damages your kidneys, your immune system. You land up with things like pulmonary embolism and deep vein thrombosis. Plastic, no one is talking of plastic waste in these dumps. These cause infertility and cancers. This is anti-hormone. That's why ladies get more affected with this. We need to get our act together within the city. Carry home message as far as I'm concerned is public transport must be put in order. No more nonsense hearing and storytelling. Waste dumps have to move out. You can't have it outside main doors of people's houses. Point number 3, Delhi traffic must be put in order. Roads must be in order. You can't have road dust floating all around. Parali burning, yes, it should have stopped many years back. But get your own house in order first. Punish the guilty. Put them in jail. I don't want to die because someone else is greedy.
Valid
The charge
points.
should be equal.
Valid points.
Dr. Begai said it.
Go ahead.
Charge should be equal to all these people, sir. And the killings, the slow killing of so many millions of people.
Right,
It's
and
actually murder on a mass scale.
It also boils down to the value of life, right? It's not valued.
It's a constitutional right. Like, we have a constitutional right to life. Why is that being stolen in front of us, and why is no one speaking anything about it? That's the question. Why is there an ecocide, not just of nature, but of the human being, of women, of children, of the underprivileged classes of India and of Delhi? Why is this happening in 70 years of our independence? I think that's the real question to ask. And if we still allow it, remember what we do with our neighbor will happen to us. How long are we going to sit quietly and enjoy our own air purifiers? I think it's time, and Dr. Bagai is an expert in this. He's already said of the various medical and health conditions that are impacted every single day, even with 15 minutes of exposure. So let's end this ecocide. Let's end this slow murder.
Right.
Let's end this murder.
Right, Kavita ji. Of course, apart from the pollution, look at the kachra around Delhi. Look at the waste management systems. If you're not blaming the Aam Aadmi Party for the Parali burning, just look at what Delhi has become in terms of the kachra that you see, the pollution that you see, and the dirt that you see on the roads.
Yes, I was just about to address the same thing. It's glad that you mentioned it because anytime you're entering Delhi in and around NCR, you see mountains of garbage are being burnt, and there's this lethal toxic smell which is coming out from there. So I really pity the people who are especially living around those areas. And what about us? Even if we are 20 kilometers away, finally those toxins are flying and coming into our lungs and causing all these health problems. Firstly. Second, I want to also address that we do have the solutions. I've had a little experience with Pusa Institute this year and last year, and I have gone and seen what kind of biodecomposers they have made and how it's functioning. Truly, I'm telling you, it is very, very workable. It is very, we shall be able to put it on ground, but I think all that needs is how to manifest that and put it at the ground level. I think we need the thing is that there are enough funds, as someone already said on the panel, there is no dearth of funds. We have the funds. If we have the political will, it shall work out. If we have the citizens' cooperation, it shall work out. Also, I guess, MCD and people working who are at the core level, firstly politicians and administration and people at the ground level, everybody has to put a combined effort, because a stitch in time saves 9. That proverb is already gone because we've already crossed the limit. AQI is skyrocketing, and so finally I want to add that environment was never taken seriously, and hence look at where we have reached. People thought climate change, environment issues are a joke. They were never in the election manifestos. Now they are, but the politicians have actually fooled us into taking our valuable votes from us and giving us this horrible lifestyle where we can't breathe, we can't step out. Imagine you're not supposed to step out of your house. What kind of a life is this? I hope and pray that the politicians now listen to Supreme Court, because even the Supreme Court has been shaking them up, the center and the state, but still nothing is happening.
All right, we've run out of time, but appreciate everybody who joined us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.